Welcome to today's Explainer. We are going to dive straight into a truly powerful story today. We spend so much time looking at the shiny end results of successful people, right? The incredible inventions, the massive accolades, the wealth, but we rarely take the time to dissect the exact, gritty mechanics of how they actually got there. So today, we're unpacking the architecture of persistence by looking at the amazing journey of a man named Ethan. We're going to break down, step by step, how sheer will can overcome some seriously impossible odds.
So it brings us to this big question. What truly separates success from failure? It's something we've all asked ourselves at some point, hasn't it? I mean, is it just raw intelligence? Is it about being born into the right, well-connected family? Or is it literally just blind luck? Well, we're going to explore the real answer through Ethan's life. And I honestly think by the end of this explainer, you might just look at your own personal challenges in a completely different light.
Section 1. A Dream in Poverty.
To really understand the weight of Ethan's big dream of becoming an engineer, you have to understand his everyday reality. Ethan grew up in a tiny village, in a family that could barely scrape together enough money for food. So things like expensive textbooks or specialized tutoring, those were completely out of the question. No way. Yet every single day, he'd sit and watch these massive trains roaring past his village. He would just stare at these complex machines and wonder how on earth they were built. Right there, right in the middle of a daily struggle just to survive, he made a promise to himself. He promised that one day he would create something that could actually help people. It's a beautiful thought for sure, but as we all know, a dream without a solid plan and without immense grit is really just a wish.
Section 2. Ignoring the doubters. Because here's the thing, the moment you decide to go after a massive dream, the world is absolutely going to test you. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the environment Ethan was in and his own internal mindset. On the left side, you've got the villagers. They were constantly telling him to just stop dreaming. They wanted him to be realistic, to focus on finding a simple, practical job. They firmly believed that a poor boy like him simply couldn't achieve such monumental goals. And look, they weren't trying to be mean, they were just projecting their own limitations and the harsh realities of their world onto him. But then, look at the right side. Ethan completely refused to listen. Instead of just accepting their reality, he actively engineered his own. He'd borrow these old, beat-up books from the local library and study late into the night under this single dim, flickering lamp. He just kept taking these stubborn, actionable steps forward, completely shutting out the noise of the doubters.
Section 3. The Path of Resistance.
Okay, so this is where the real grind happens. Because the reality of success, it looks way different than we usually think. Just look at this timeline. Year 1, he's just a kid in a poor village. By year 5, he's spending those exhausted late nights at the library. Fast forward to year 10, literally a whole decade later, and he finally earns a college scholarship. Year 14, he gets a job at a tech company. And it isn't until year 20 that he finally becomes a fully realized inventor. 20 years. Just think about how incredibly long that is. 2 decades of relentless effort. Success was absolutely not an overnight event for him. It was this long, messy, non-linear journey. We always want instant gratification, but the true architecture of persistence, it's built over years, not days.
And let me tell you, that 20-year timeline was not a smooth ride. Ethan literally passed out asleep while reading, just from sheer physical exhaustion. He didn't magically ace every test either. Actually, he failed several exams and had to deal with massive disappointments. When he finally made it to college, the coursework was incredibly tough, and he was suddenly surrounded by all these students who just seemed naturally smarter than him. But here is the absolute secret to his persistence. Every single failure taught him something new. He never wasted a drop of energy comparing himself to the guy sitting next to him. Instead, he relentlessly focused on self-improvement, just getting a little bit better every single day.
Section 4. The Innovation. So this is where all those years of quiet, exhausting struggle finally step into the light. After graduating and landing that job at the tech company, Ethan didn't just kick back and relax. He kept grinding. He applied the exact same mechanics he used as a little boy reading under that dim lamp. It broke down into a literal formula. Step 1, learning. Step 2, experimenting. Step 3, solving problems. He just repeated this cycle over and over for years in the professional world. This is the literal architecture of his success right here. It's a continuous feedback loop. There was no sudden magic spark of genius out of thin air. It was the compounding interest of repeating these 3 steps, taking everything he'd learned from his past failures and using it to smash through the next obstacle. And the triumphant result of all that relentless dedication, it was nothing short of awe-inspiring. Through that rigorous 3-step process, Ethan actually invented an affordable water purification system, and it was designed specifically to provide clean, safe drinking water to thousands of people living in remote areas. Remember his childhood dream, watching those trains pass by and promising he'd build amazing machines to help people? Well, he actually did it. His persistence didn't just change his own trajectory, it fundamentally transformed the lives of thousands of other people who were living in the exact same kind of underserved conditions he grew up in. Talk about a full circle moment.
Section 5. The ultimate difference.
One day, Ethan finally returned to his home village, and the exact same people who had once told him to stop dreaming, the ones who told him to just get a simple job, they welcomed him back with immense pride and respect. When he was asked to reflect on his entire journey, Ethan just smiled and offered this profoundly simple insight. He said, "The difference between success and failure is not intelligence or luck. It is the courage to keep going when things become difficult." I want you to just let that sink in for a second. Raw intelligence didn't pull him out of poverty. Luck definitely didn't pay for that hard-earned scholarship. It was courage. The simple raw courage to just not throw in the towel when things got incredibly hard.
So, let's synthesize everything we've talked about today. What's the real takeaway for us? Number 1, dreams do not come true because life is easy. If it were easy, literally everyone would be doing it. Number 2, you absolutely must keep moving forward despite the obstacles. Obstacles aren't huge neon stop signs, they're just puzzles you haven't quite figured out how to solve yet. And finally, number 3, success ultimately belongs to those who simply refuse to give up. Ethan's story has inspired countless people to chase down their own impossible dreams, and it should absolutely inspire you too, because you have the exact same capacity for persistence that he did.
I want you to take a hard look at your own life right now. Look at your goals, and look at your struggles. Think about the villagers in your life telling you to play it safe, or those metaphorical failed exams you might be dealing with right this second. I want to leave you with this one question to think about. What obstacle will you refuse to let stop you today? Keep pushing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.